Every culture has its own way to honour the dead. Western rituals include flowers, the coffin, but there are many ways of doing it around the world. In Tibet, they practice what is called sky burial, which consists on leaving the body of the deceased on a high, unprotected place to allow nature to take back what belongs to her. The well-known Halloween comes from an ancient Celtic celebration where people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. And in the Day of the Dead, in Mexico, rituals include dressing up in bright colours and inviting spirits of dead children to visit them. But why is society so fascinated with the dead? Why do we feel the need to believe and honour ghosts?
That is a good question. Why do we feel that fascination?
Right, but that's not a problem, because today we are here to find it out with the help of some interesting guests and a frightening story.
We'll be talking to two administrators of companies who deal with paranormal phenomena.
Also, we will listen to Hazel Williams from Spectrum Paranormal Investigations. She's here to tell us a bit more about the spirit world, together with Malcolm Brown, who has a unique profession.
I can't wait to hear their stories. But first, let's hit the streets and see what public have to think about this subject.
Since the early days, there has been recordings of haunted places in London. In the beginning of the 50s, there were already ghost hunters who go through places to try and catch some ghosts using some interesting science.
The hunters know that the disturbances that frightened away the three caretakers, no one else had lived here for 20 years, were near the chimney. So a thorough search is made for a possible simple explanation to the mystery, or, who knows, the ghost himself. Cotton thread provides an effective check on whether the uninvited guest is a genuine spook or a real live fake. A ghost who is using his title under false pretenses will, if he stumbles into this trap, soon be brought back to reality.
In 1957, Mrs. Mabel Cullen implies that her 17th century cottage is haunted. She talks about seeing a ghost in her home and describes it as a man dressed in black who appears in her bedroom.
Miss Cannon, are you sure you saw a ghost?
Yes, I feel quite sure that I did.
Could you describe it?
Yes. It was there's part of a man encircling my bedroom. It just consisted of the head and the shoulders, and it tapered off from that to from the waist down.
In 1964, there were even some spooky things happening in a pub in Buckinghamshire. But while all this happened in the 50s and 60s, we went to the streets to see if people still believed in ghosts and spirits.
I believe there's spirits, but not ghosts that go and terrify you.
No, I don't believe in ghosts. When you die, something about you remain here in the earth.
Yeah. Oh, my wife, but after she had some pharmacy pills. It's true, yeah, she does.
Yeah, all right, okay.
She saw someone flying through the window.
My mother, she's, I don't know whether she's specifically seen one, but she's like, she went into the house that they were thinking of buying, and like her and her mum just like left straight away because they just couldn't stay in the house, and then they found out that like 2 kids had died there before. So
I think the spiritual world is different from our human world.
I don't believe that like every report of ghosts is true, but I believe that there is some sort of like something out there.
Yeah. Once you're out of this life, it's like before you were born, there is nothing.
Well, to me it doesn't seem to be very clear what people think about this. But what we definitely know for sure is those stories have always existed and always will.
That is true. And I bet our guest can enlighten us. Next to me is MJ Dixon from Sage Paranormal and Luke and Kim from Breaking Paranormal. Welcome.
Hi.
But why the paranormal? Why dedicate part of your life to this mysterious world? I'll start with you, MJ.
I grew up in a family that was quite spiritual. My father was a military man and my mum was a psychic medium. So I grew up with the best of both worlds and often had experiences. So I guess it was just looking for answers to validate that.
Well, for me it's just curiosity, like MJ said, it's just looking for answers. So really just finding out what happens to us when we die, basically.
Pretty much the same as Kim, really. Like the idea of the what ifs and the possibilities. So we'll just like go from there.
Okay. Can I quickly say, what is your scariest experience you've had?
The first time I see a ghost was in a cellar in a pub. A guy walked straight up to me, walked straight through a wall.
Mm-hmm.
I think my most scariest experience was seeing a light in Drakelow tunnels in Kidderminster, and then other people saw it as well. It was really weird.
And
I woke up at about 3 o'clock in the morning with my uncle standing at the end of the bed who had passed away when I was 3. That was quite terrifying.
Amazing. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. We'll definitely follow your work. But let's continue with this mysterious journey.
Mysterious indeed, and frightening, because we went with the Spectrum Paranormal Investigations inside the graveyard to look for spirits.
With the spirit box, we obviously, this is where we try and make contact with like using EVP, electronic voice phenomena. So we're looking for a response, an audible response, okay? Now, in order to, first, the way we normally start off with is we say a prayer because we're on hallowed ground, and we will start with a prayer before we make contact with any spirits. Even on the Ouija board we do the same thing. So that's what we're going to do right now. I call upon the world of spirit. Please draw closer to me, and you can draw upon my life force. I ask that you come and communicate with us. If there are any spirit energies around us, then can you please give us your name?
What? Did you hear that? That was the weirdest thing. I earlier went Steve.
I knew Steve, not as much as his father, but he sadly passed away. Steve Farnham, can you hear my voice? If you can hear my voice, then please.
Battery's gone.
No.
I can't wait to see what Steve has to say.
Me neither. But before that, let's see what our experts have to say. Hello, Hazel. Hello, Malcolm.
Hello.
Hazel, you belong to Spectrum Paranormal Investigations. What made you start this company?
Spectrum Paranormal was actually founded on a chain of events that happened to me back in the 1990s from precognitive dreams that I'd had, including the assassination of Yitzhak Rabin 3 days before he died, the death of Princess Diana. I got the date, the city, the time, and the people that would die. Flight 800 JFK, I see the plane exploded mid-air just after takeoff. And the most profound one was 9/11, the World Trade Center, in which I physically died in that dream. I actually came down with the towers, and something was revealed to me at the end of that dream, and then that led me on a quest, and I had to go on this quest to find answers into the afterlife. So yeah.
So what is the strangest incident you've experienced?
It would have to be 9/11, because that was so real, in a sense. You know, when you physically die in a dream, they say you never can die in a dream, but you can. And I needed answers, because when you're given the exact number of people that would die, how it would all unfold, and the war that will rage on the planet after, you know, it just sends you on this mad quest, and I formed the group.
That is,
you know,
that is really frightening.
Yeah.
But I bet, Malcolm, you feel more relaxed here. You have by most lion-hearted job in the world. You describe yourself as demonologist.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
It's something that's called in when people feel that there's paranormal activity, it can be furniture moving or bites, scratches, that sort of thing. I've got to ask personal questions about drugs, alcohol, lifestyle, whether these children are coming into puberty, because it may not be paranormal. I've got to try and debunk the thing first, and then if not, then I've got to look for something more serious, especially if the doctors have seen them and found them all could be okay, and the psychiatrist.
Yeah.
Then I've got to look down the spiritual side. That's when things will get rather sticky.
Yeah. Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you very much. I actually think I'm ready to know more about Steve.
Yes, let's see what happened to Steve.
That's still on.
It's not working, is it?
Can you please try to show me what your yes would be? What would be your yes? When we were doing the spirit box session, we came across an energy by the name of Steve. So I'm going to see if what we have is that energy, because the energy... Was it a long-term illness? Was it a long-term illness that took your life?
I don't know about you, Maman, but there's something about the unknown that fascinates me.
There is something interesting that will keep happening, no matter who you are or where you live. But we are getting to the end of this program, and I have a final question for Malcolm and Hazel. What would you tell the people who don't believe in the afterlife?
Can I go for that?
Basically, look, there's two things in life. There's normal, and then paranormal. So, you know, depending on what side of the fence you're on, you know, and it's always good to remain skeptical anyway, because, you know, until you're presented with hardcore evidence, who knows whether there's an afterlife. So that's why I'm on the quest.
Thank you.
Okay. Malcolm, quickly.
Well, the quick answer is that yes, I believe that there is life after death, because it's been proved to me by helping somebody cross over into the light, and it's a good feeling.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for staying with us.
Well, you know what the little prince says. What is essential is invisible to the eye. Do you think you will believe in spirits after this program?
I'm certain I won't be going to a graveyard in the middle of the night.
That's for sure. And we hope that this program has been useful for all of you as well.
We'll see you in our next program with more mystery.